I'm not going to have a panic attack.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I know I've been gone for about 4 months, something like that, but doing schoolwork and stuff like that. But I'm here doing this podcast. This is the Team Up podcast, ladies and gentlemen. TMAU or Team Up podcast, because we're a team over here. So that's what it's all about. Today we have the founder of the MEBO Foundation, and why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and we'll get right into it.
You're freezing up. Okay. Is it working now?
Yeah, it's working for me. It's working on my end. I'm not too sure if it's my connection or your connection. My connection seems all good though, but
Yeah, I mean, you
yeah,
were
my
fine
bad.
until. Okay, we're good. Okay, what is it you
Okay.
want to do?
Oh no, just go ahead and give a little introduction about yourself. Exactly what you did, what you created, and what your plans are going forth. And like I said, we'll just get into the interview itself as we go along.
All right. Well, my name is Maria Della Torre. I used to work. Oh, I've worked 35 years of my life, and then I had to go on disability at the age of 52. And I just can't be sitting around doing nothing. And since everything happened to my son, who had TMAU, primary TMAU symptoms, that got very, very bad from the age of 14 to 21, I just, my husband and I were going crazy. No, that's it. My husband just got home, sorry. Um, that's okay. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, my husband and I were going crazy trying to figure out what was happening to him. We thought he was gravely ill because the odor was just too extreme.
Yeah.
And it really got triggered when he started taking Accutane. He always had it since infancy. I mean,
Yeah.
I remember my mother giving him a baby formula as she's carrying him in his arms, and he cried, and she goes, "This little baby has bad breath," and it's just started at his neck area here, even as a baby and as a child. But as a child, he couldn't care less.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that bad. I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't like when he turned 14, because he had acne vulgaris, which are the cystic type of acne,
Yeah.
where the doctor for 1 year had to cut it, drain it, and give injections to each one, and it still wouldn't control it. So they gave him Accutane.
Yeah.
And after 1 year of Accutane, I guess there was a warning that said that his liver would get messed up or could be damaged. And I think it was, in addition to the fact that he already had, the enzyme issue. So then all of a sudden it just got so bad. I mean, we cannot imagine. I had never smelled. The only time I have smelled something as strong and as intense was driving by landfills
Oh
or
yeah.
mangroves. I mean, it's that intense. And that was from the age of 14 to the age of 21. We took him to all the experts. Nobody denied that he had a problem. Just couldn't figure out what it was. We tested him with everything, and nobody could figure it out. The thing is, he did have severe allergies. The allergist said it was a miracle that he was alive, because when they did the test, they had to stop it a number of times. And the nurses would rotate because the odor was so intense.
Yeah.
And so finally, my husband saw the movie, or it was a documentary done by Camille, a TMAU sufferer who had gone through the same thing. And then he said, "Oh, look at this!" So we watched it. And we heard TMAU for the first time ever. I said, "Okay, I'm grabbing onto this." I started researching, and that's how MEBO started.
Yeah.
I've had secondary TMAU, but it's intermittent, depending on what I eat and whatever. But that was not even existent in my concern. It was all about my son. And so he started doing the TMAU protocol, and we slowly but surely tried figuring it out ourselves and modifying this and modifying that. And so eventually, after 1 year, he managed to control it completely. And I said, "This is it. I have to be dedicated to this, because obviously, if he responded well to it, that means that he had it. I mean, you can't respond well to treatment if you didn't have the condition, even though
Yeah.
he didn't do the test because it was too expensive at the time, and we couldn't afford it either. So we waited, and then he did very, very well. But I wasn't about to just let it go because I was hearing that it's genetic. And what about my grandchildren? And then I started seeing other sufferers. And I said, no, this, I need to step up. If there's something I can do, I want to do it. And so I started going, since I had worked 30 years for the airlines, I was able to travel for free. So I went to London because that was where most of the stuff was taking place.
Yeah.
In London, they were testing there free, because they had their health system.
Yeah, free. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I wish
a
we
lot
had
of
it
people
here.
were testing, and so I went ahead and went to a couple of meetups there and somebody said, but we're not getting anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere until we organize and do a charity. I said, let's do a charity. So that's how MEBO was registered first in England,
Yeah.
in Wales, because I was there on a meetup. As
Yeah.
simple as that. And then when I came home, I said, I can't believe that, I can't have a charity in my own country.
I know. Oh my god.
But it
Oh
cost
my
a lot of
god.
money. I had to get an attorney, everything else. So, excuse me one second. Yes. So then I told him not to interrupt. They get like babies' husbands when they get older. Anyway, so then so then I said, you know what? FIU, Florida International University, that was my alma mater, my husband's alma mater, and my son's alma mater. I'm going to go over there and see what if they got anything going in the law school of law. So I went and I found out, hey, they got a clinic, and they do community service. They do actually their interns, their students for their last year do what do you call it?
Oh, they do like independent study stuff like that.
Community work. Actually, it's a
Yeah.
clinic that does like charity work. Needy people. You apply for
Yeah.
the grant, I guess it's called, and they will do the whole under the supervision of the professor as part of their internship. They will handle everything and register you. They did it for some of the women. They pick minorities and women and people who really needed that extra boost.
Yeah.
And like, for example, they had done it to help her open her beauty parlor, beauty parlor. So I said, okay, well, if they did that, they couldn't take care of me. I fit pretty much all these categories. So I went and presented my case, and they took me.
Nice.
So they helped me establish. I just had to pay the filing fees for the state, but they did everything, and they registered MEBO as a charity with the most like needy, or how would you say, a public charity that would encompass all the breaks that charities get.
Oh yeah, the tech. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I was able to do that by 2010. I had started to go on that first meetup 2008. I registered MEBO in England and Wales 2009, and then 2010 in the US. So, but when I started in 2008, I started the blog, and I wrote my first letter introducing myself and what I wanted to do exactly 10 years ago, only a few days ago. So it was like MEBO's 10th birthday, It was all an idea.
Yeah, so there's the origin story, ladies and gentlemen, for how it started, stuff like that. I didn't even know that. I only knew about MEBO itself and what they were trying to do, but I didn't know about the origin story, how it started in London, then it came to here. So that's nice to hear. So, but yeah, we got into what it is, why it was created. Let's get into the next, because I have a few questions over here that I just wanted to just wanted to come prepared, just not come in and not know what to say, stuff like that. Because I've done that on a few podcasts. I've gotten. I'm still young. I'll admit I'm still young, but I've gotten better. But when you have stuff like this, you learn from a lot of mistakes. But anyway, what has MEBO accomplished ever since it was conception, ever since it was born, pretty much stuff like that?
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, when I was trying to set up the charity, the only place that had done testing, and only TMAU testing, which was always upsetting to me, that why we're the
Yeah, just
TMAU are the minority. So
Yeah.
what about the other 70, 80, or whatever percentage?
Yeah, and like before you actually go into that, like explains that a little bit more because like a lot of people don't know. I actually talked about this on a few podcasts, the percentages about like how many actually get tested for, how many people actually like have TMAU, stuff like that. So just talk about the percentages a little bit because a lot
Sure.
of people don't even know about the percentages.
Sure. In the UK, the two places that did testing,
Yeah.
which would be the UK, that started in 1997, and we established a very close relationship with Nigel Manning. He's the principal scientist who
Okay.
did this whole program over there, and he gave us a report of all the tests he had done through their national health system, so it's all centralized, from 1997 to 2012, I think, or 2012. And then in the U.S., testing had been done primarily by the Monell Center, which is the Denver lab in Colorado. Also, in California, a few tests had been done, but in the U.S. they only tested for primary. Is it frozen? Can you hear me? I think I'm losing you. Okay, did you hear me?
Yeah, I heard you. It
Oh,
got a little frozen, but I definitely heard what you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. In the US, they were only testing for primary. In the UK, they were testing for primary and secondary. They both seem to have the same amount of percentage of people who tested, more or less. Sometimes you get a few more, sometimes you get a few less. That for primary, where 3 to 5% of everyone that tested got primary. So that left the what, 95%?
Yeah, 95%.
That had
Like literally
something else.
95%.
Right. And so even though my son falls in the category of primary, I was seeing so much suffering from so many sufferers everywhere around the world, and I was saying, no, MEBO will address this.
Yeah.
MEBO will address those that have nothing. They don't even know what is causing
Yeah,
it. They
know where
don't
to start. Yeah,
know
exactly.
where to start and no tests to do. So then in the UK, they were also doing for secondary. So secondary TMAU was never done in the US. And by the time I started MEBO, they had spent one whole year. There was 1 year where no lab in the US was testing even for TMAU. So we had nothing.
Yeah.
And I said, no, this is unacceptable. So I started looking for, after I established the charity, we started to get volunteers. Irene, our scientific director, immediately called me. I was at the beach with my husband, and she calls and she says, "Maria, I hear you just started the charity." I said, "Yes," and she goes, "If there's anything I can do to help, I'm a scientist." And I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, of course, please, would you be a scientific director?" And she said yes. So from the get-go, Irene has been offering her services, never charged a cent. We're
Yeah.
talking about almost 10 years.
Wow.
And so then we kept looking and looking for testing opportunity. And the only thing that we found could get us a foot in the door was TMAU testing. So we grabbed onto that.
Yeah.
And then we found that the statistics that Nigel had given us from the United Kingdom and the statistics that we were getting with Dr. Hazen's lab, because we started the TMAU test with Dr. Hazen in 2012, and we found that about 25% are secondary. So we had, let's say, the highest numbers, 5% primary, 25% secondary. That's still only 30%. And when you're talking
Yeah.
about thousands and thousands of people around the world, that's a lot of people who have nothing to turn to.
Nothing to go on. Yeah.
Nothing, no test. And how could you do any kind of a protocol or treatment if you don't even know what you have?
Yeah.
And you can't, because everybody was saying, well, try trial and error. But then you have that other problem where it builds up in your body. So even if you, until you clear it out so that you could really see what are the triggers, you're never going to know what the triggers are, because what you're probably smelling is something that's already in your body, maybe from years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So
pretty much what it is. It's like taking antidepressants to try and get rid of your ADHD. It's like it's not really gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Like we need to have some sort of protocol here. So that's why we're all trying to gather
right.
up and trying to figure something out, really, because there's pretty much nothing, like you said. I mean, 70% of people have no idea. I still don't even know what I have. I've been dealing with this for about my birthday wasn't too long ago, so it was about I've been dealing with this for about 8 years now. Um, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I've been able to do trial and error, find out what I can have, what I can't have, but still, I'm still not too sure exactly, what's going on, stuff like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's good the way you talked about, like, yeah, but yeah, no, that's good the way you talked about how you got the testing, stuff like that. I mean, you looked at this, you looked at the stats, pretty much were able to figure out how to pretty much maneuver your way in. Like, you knew that TMAU testing was the only way you can get your foot in the door, and that's good, because like I feel as though we're gonna need as many gimmies as we can get, whatever we can possibly get, and that pretty much leads me into my next question. What are some of the short-term goals that MEBO has, and some of the long-term goals that MEBO has as well?
Okay. The short-term goal is to start a testing program, because Dr. Hazen had to discontinue the 5-year program we had. As much as we had an excellent relationship, everything was going really well for
Yeah,
all of us in regards to that test. But he's designed and developed a whole supplement to suppress TMA production in the gut, and he's in the final stages of his research that's NIH funded. And he now, in the final stages, he has to try it out on tens of thousands of patients.
yeah,
So he didn't have time to actually get to our batch of 15 samples, because they have to shut down everything and then adjust the instruments to be able to. Are you there?
yeah. I'm still here. Yeah,
To be able to run a batch of 15 or 20 samples. So unfortunately, he had to discontinue it. But we're still waiting for that supplement to come out, because it seems to really be inhibiting TMA production in the gut.
yeah,
So that controls that. Even though his research is all for cardiovascular, it'll work for us. But at the same time, um, we just can't, we don't have a test program now, but we don't want to just do a TMAU test program. We're
yeah,
really determined that now when we design this new one, we want it to include as much as we can get from that lab to do. We want to create a panel. And the good thing is that before, when we would go and say, approach an expert and say, oh, hi, we're MEBO Research, a charity for people with body odor conditions, it would be like, oh, okay, another charity. And now it's like, oh, we've been having a program with Dr. Hazen from the Cleveland Clinic. Whoa, they all
yeah.
know
Some
that.
credibility. Yeah,
you know. So, and you've been working with him for how long? For 5 years. And why did you break the relationship? I mean, it really goes that way. We
yeah,
have conference calls and with them, and we explain that he's doing his research, and obviously we know about his research probably more than they know, or maybe not. The point is that we're now talking to a very serious, reputable, renowned NIH recipient um, team of scientists from a university. I don't want to give out too much information, because what if it doesn't go through?
yeah,
But we're talking about a panel where we're studying metabolites. Um, and in addition to TMAU, we always got to grab onto the
yeah,
recognized and the
yeah.
rare
Because it's
connect
recognized.
and
Yeah,
the Rordis, and because we're listed in all these, the Global Alliance, Nord, Uridis, Rare Connect, Orphanet. MEBO is listed as a patient organization for people to contact under TMAU. So
yeah,
we got to keep grabbing that TMAU, which of course many of, we do have TMAU sufferers, including my son and I, but we're also focused on the others. So that's one thing we're doing. Another thing we're doing is this Ubiome gut study. And Irene still has to give me her reports. But just looking at Danny's, I posted it last night because I wanted it to go up before we have this so that people can refer to it. That Ubiome study that Irene is doing here, and she lives in California,
Yeah.
and Danny Kuntz, he and his group, research group, are in Germany. And they're taking the sample, the results that we've sufferers volunteered to them, just give them, and they're analyzing it. And Danny's and Irene have noticed that because everybody for secondary TMAU was saying, oh, that's an overgrowth of a certain bacteria. It's a dysbiosis, an overgrowth of some microbe in the gut. And they have discovered that no, there isn't that much difference in the population of the microbes, at least the ones that they're studying, that we're giving them results for, of. They're noticing that it's pretty much the same as the general population of non-sufferers. So Danny, and that's what I posted last night, late, like 1 in the morning, I couldn't sleep, where Danny was saying that he thinks it has more to do with the condition of the wall of the digestive tract, all the way from the small intestine to the large intestine, and the tight junctions. And I drew, I don't know, I guess we can't see it now, but when you get a chance, we could see it. I drew a little picture. Well, I got it from Wikipedia, but it's a picture that I put in the post where it shows how tight junctions keep together the little things in the intestine, and then only the right electrolytes go through them. But when the tight junction breaks open, as it does in IBS, celiac disease, any kind of inflammatory disease of the wall of the uterus, anything that is, sorry, not uterus, digestive tract, then other things start going through. And so in reality, it's not so much that the bacteria is producing a lot of these metabolites, but that more of them are seeping through to the bloodstream, and that in the end, we might have some deficiency to some degree, in the metabolism aspect of these compounds.
Yeah.
So that's a really exciting thing. And then Ubiome, I mean, this is ongoing. This is an ongoing research. And I want to hear Irene's version. She's also saying something similar about her findings. And Ubiome, they suggested, they said to us, would you be interested in applying for a grant with Ubiome so that you can get some of these tests for free for you to do a research project? It's like a grant. And then they would actually even help with the analysis. They would help Irene with the analysis, and they will give us the control group to compare with. And so we said, yes, of course we want that.
Yeah, no,
we don't want it. And so they were supposed to meet sometime now at the end of this month to decide whether they're going to give it to us or not, something they even brought up themselves. So there's a good chance that we're going to go down that route and continue with that. So that's two things of the near term. And then Dr. Hazen's supplement is something else that may benefit some of us, though. Long term, which was your second half of the question, is more of the same, narrow it down, come up with new diagnosis, more discussion on PATAM, PATAM, patients. And because that's hand in hand, as something I wrote, I think on Facebook the other day, that there's two. Go ahead. I don't want to jump to something else. Did you have more questions, or you want me to go ahead with that one?
Oh no, I mean, depending on if you think it's really relevant, then you can go ahead and.
Okay. There's two people say there's two conflicts here that we need to look at. Olfactory system, which is the whole sense of smell.
Yeah.
And the sensitivity and allergic response in the human body. They go hand in hand. We were talking about with Ubiome and all the other tests, because TMA is actually another um, uh, chemical, just like many of the others that we're talking about. They're coming up with in Ubiome, with the Ubiome test, um, and some of them smell stronger than others, and they each have their defined odor, right?
Yeah.
TMA smells like one thing. Uh, what do you call it? Candida smells like something else, and all the different ones. I can't remember them right now, but they're all listed there. Uh, what's his name? Danny gave us a whole list of them, and some people can smell them, some people cannot. And in the human olfactory system goes from anosmia, that's absolutely no sense of smell. You can't even taste food, totally
Oh
nothing,
yeah. Yeah, I've heard
all
about
the
that.
way to hyperosmia. So you got this whole scale on both sides, right? So you have that at large, all humans, and in fact, at different times of different stages, different ages of a human life, your olfactory system changes. Sometimes I understand it's more acute, probably in the 20s and 30s. And then as you get older, it dims out, and a lot of the senior people just don't even smell anything that maybe when they were younger, they were like hound dogs. They could smell everything. So that's one thing to consider when you say, oh, why do my family say they don't smell it, or why do some people say they do and then they don't, and then other people just treat me like if I was an ardent criminal who just killed them or
Yeah.
person crime. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
some smell it and some don't. Now with PATM, PATM,
Yeah.
then you're addressing a different reaction to the same chemicals. Um, which is some people are allergic to everything. Like my son, unfortunately, the doctor said it's a miracle he's alive. He's had asthma, he's had all kinds of, he always had rashes everywhere, always,
Yeah.
and had all kinds of problems. And then there are people who have never understood because they have never, ever, ever had an allergic reaction to anything. So it's, you get the wide spectrum there as well. So how could you make sense of it if you're going by people's reaction to you? Unless it's an extreme odor, like when my son, I think the Accutane missed his liver even more, then it was so extreme that very few people did not perceive it. But in my case, it's intermittent. So some people, my own husband, he'll tell me, oh, you're fine, there's no problem. And all of a sudden later I go, okay, time to do something now, because he can perceive it. So that makes it hard
Yeah.
because you don't know when it's going to happen and stuff like that. So that's why I validate, and Irene was talking about that she's seen some preliminary results on from all the clinical. We've done three. I forgot to mention three different clinical trials, suffer-funded criminal clinical trials, because we don't have money
Yeah.
to do them. So the sufferers are told, just like with the Ubiome, you buy the kit, the test, the total expense that we would have to do, and the scientists volunteer their time to analyze everything. And
Yeah, and like
so,
I just
yes,
want you to like explain because like we haven't really. Oh, it seems like we got some echo going on in the background. Let me try and see if I can do anything. I'm gonna try and fix the echo. See if I can try and fix the echo really quick. Microphone to the camera, voice.
I don't hear you now.
You know? All right, let me try
Okay,
and.
now I do.
Okay, all right. But yeah, all right, yeah. But anyway, I want you to explain exactly what a Ubiome is. And for anybody who doesn't know, she mentioned a guy named Danny. Danny is actually a researcher out in the UK. I don't know exactly where in the UK, but he's out in the
Germany.
UK, Germany. He's a researcher out in Germany. He has he doesn't have a degree in computer science, but he's mostly a someone who's really adept with informatics, stuff like that, computers and biology, stuff like that. Who pretty much looks at this and stuff like that. Yeah. He himself is a sufferer, so that's how we know he's on board. Because I know a lot of you guys, a lot of you guys can be kind of shaky with people who are quote unquote outside the community and stuff like that. But anyway, um, Yeah, Danny's very adept with stuff like that. But anyway, I just wanted you to explain exactly what Ubiome is. I was actually in the Facebook group trying to look for Akia. I don't want to mention her last name because I don't know if she wants me to put that out there. But Akia is one of the directors at MEBO, and she actually had a few posts about how sufferers can get a discount on the Ubiome test. Pretty much the Ubiome tests are tests where you can explore your. They pretty much. I'm not too sure how you go about it. I don't know if they're pee samples or if they're blood samples, whatever they are, or saliva samples or whatever. But they pretty much help you figure out what kind of bacteria you have within your gut, within your this, that, whatever, stuff like that. So just go into a little bit about what that is. Like I said, I was trying to find out where IKEA posted it so that I could say it so that I could say it now and let people know about it. But I'm gonna try and have to find it out later because I can't find it on the Facebook group anywhere. So if you can just talk a little bit about that, so that the sufferers watching this
Sure.
know somewhat about what you're talking about.
Sure. I did the 5-site. Ubiome offers different tests, but the one that the best special they've given us is the 5-site test, which normally costs $399. And Akia Browning is her last name. She's a Amiibo director, and she managed to find that they would give us a discount of 89 to pay only $89 instead of $399. And what that studies is the gut, the nose, mouth, skin, and genitalia.
All right.
So they send me a kit, and the kit has 5 little vials. Actually, it has an extra one in case I guess you mess up. And it gives specific instructions of how you take the swab and how you collect the samples, and then you put it in the little vial, shake it, and put it down, and then they send a return. What do you call it? The return sticker to return shipment. And then you have to go online because for the discount, you got to go online and do their survey because this is a research study. And then they send you the report online in their site with some explanation comparing your results to non-sufferers, to the rest of their control group.
Yeah.
And with that, then you can take those results, and give them if you want to participate. At this point, that's all you need to do. But a lot of times, just with that, you don't know what that's got to do with odor sufferers, with the odor condition. So then, if you want to find out how all that explains your odor condition, then you send the results by email to Danny and to Irene. And what's good is that they're working independently, and one is working in Germany with his group. Even though Danny himself doesn't have a degree, he sure sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
But part of his group are also people who are licensed and have degrees and whatever. So they're a pretty good group. And then there's Irene here in California doing her research as well. And what I have found really promising is that they're coming up with similar results,
Yeah.
even though they're very
Yeah.
independent in
Dependent.
different
Yeah.
parts of the world. And so the good thing is we don't have to ship anything to Irene or Danny. We just send them the results and they apply it to their whole system. They're both very much into technology and biotechnology and stuff like that. So they have incredibly advanced programs that help them understand what these results could mean and translate them to odor conditions.
Yeah.
In my case, for example, because I don't mind talking about my results, I don't talk about anybody else's results. I only talk about mine, and then my son gave me permission to talk about his. So we ordered his kit, and so he's going to do his. But my result, what I found was interesting is that I was actually the green line means the normal, and then on this side is I guess within normal range, I think. But then on this side, your enzyme is working very low, right?
Okay.
And mine, my TMA was actually somewhere in the normal range, perhaps because of all the 10 years worth of low choline diet and and all the probiotics and
Yeah.
everything I've done. But then there were the others. Okay, there's let's see, methylamine,
Yeah, methamphetamine. Yeah.
dimethylamine. That's two methyls for one amine, and trimethylamine, which is the one for TMAU, which is three. Of those three, my urine test has shown that I have trimethylamine, high levels of TMA, trimethylamine, and these Ubiome test shows that I have uh, low function of my metabolic enzyme for the methylamine and the dimethylamine. So obviously that's my problem. Other people have posted theirs where they shows high levels of ammonia, or that their enzyme works is poorly working on ammonia, and then there's a whole list, and the list is not the same for everybody. It depends on what microbes they come up with. So my list doesn't have the same chemicals as somebody else's list would have. So this is a really, really, really good um, study, one of the best that we've done, in my opinion, isn't it? Because it is finally addressing that question that was just tossed out there that, oh yeah, it's an overgrowth, a bacterial overgrowth in the gut, for an explanation to
Yeah.
why we have high levels of certain chemicals that are odors, and without there ever being a study. This is the study that's actually seeing why we have these chemicals. Where did they
Yeah.
come from?
That's nice. I actually just emailed Akia. Well, I didn't email. I messaged her, trying to see if she could pull up the post because I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Ubiome website link inside the description for people watching this, and people watching this later on after it's already happened.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put the inside and let them know that that's the website we're talking about. But if you, for those of you who may be confused about what we're talking about, Facebook and stuff like that, there's actually a Facebook group from sufferers of this condition, whether it be TMAU or some other sort of condition, because obviously there probably has to be so many of them. But yeah, pretty much there's a Facebook group for that. I actually put Maria, I put your MEBO email, not your personal email, but your MEBO email
Mm-hmm.
inside the description. So if anyone wants to contact you or contact me, probably they can I can refer them to try and get into the group,
Yeah.
or if they want to contact you and get into the group, that's fine. Or they if they want to contact anyone inside the group, if you're
Right.
watching this and you know someone inside the group, ask them to refer you to Maria or refer you to me. We can try and get them inside. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there for anybody watching who may be confused about why we're talking about Facebook and stuff like that. But yeah, was there anything else you wanted to say, or do you want to move on real quick?
Well, about the Facebook that you just mentioned.
Oh no, like either about Facebook or Ubiome or anything like that. I just wanted to talk about Facebook just for anybody who may be confused.
Oh, okay. Well, I did want to point out that the Facebook is very, very private, and then making it so private makes it difficult for people to find us on a search. Impossible for people to find us on a search. So there's a compromise, but I think we accomplish a lot more keeping it very private, because
Yeah,
then people do open up and things. So it is, I guess, we can try to reach out to sufferers who don't know about the Facebook group to bring them in, because I think it's helpful, and many people have
yeah,
found it to be helpful.
yeah. No, I would definitely say so too. It's definitely helped me. Before when I wasn't in the Facebook group and I was doing this podcast, it was kind of hard to try reach out to people. Then I actually got into the Facebook group and it was a lot easier. Just go on Facebook, post it there because everybody's on Facebook. Everybody has their cell phone. Just go on Facebook and just let people know, hey, the podcast's going on. People are there like that. I mean,
Right.
before we would have before when I was doing this, I think I would have like 9 viewers at a time. Then when I joined the Facebook group, it went up to 15, 14, 15, 13, 20, and then it would just keep on going lower and then higher, and then just kept on fluctuating. So it definitely helped me out a lot. But yeah, um, and one thing I really wanted to get into, this is pretty much, I mean, everything we've talked to obviously has been very informative up until this point, but I really want to talk about the All of Us proposal. All of Us proposal or initiative, whatever you want to call it. Um, Definitely go into that a little bit. I'm going to try and look up the All of Us initiative. So
Okay.
people who are, watching this and are unfamiliar with this, I'm gonna screen share it. Pretty much what that is like, the people watching this will be able to see my computer screen, and they'll pretty much be able to see what I'm talking about in terms of the All of Us initiative.
Okay.
And yeah, you and I will still be, we'll still be here. We'll still be contacting each other, but the people watching this will
Oh, okay.
be watching something else. I just wanted to let you know that. But yeah, go ahead and talk about the All of Us proposal, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. Well, the way that whole program came up is that Irene and a group of directors, of MEBO directors, are always looking for the big research projects that we can get serious funding for. And initially, we supported Dr. Elizabeth Shepherd in the UK to get her $500,000, 358,000 British pounds, to start the phase 1 research for TMAU. But like I said, our primary goal is to always, and going back to that one with Dr. Shepard, MEBO shows up as um, the community that would be a recipient to the benefits of the research. Now the NIH, National Institute of Health, All of Us initiative is basically a new thing that I think started in 2017 from the National Institute of Health of the United States, where they're trying to fund research for rare diseases, or for groups that have very little opportunity to get research funding. And of course, we definitely fit into that category. And so they created this website. Well, first of all, Irene jumped on that, and
Yeah.
and she
Shit.
definitely did. So she applied for that, and she called it Precision. There you go, Precision Medicine Initiative. And the reason she called it precision medicine is because it's equivalent to what Dr. Shepard was calling over in the UK as personalized medicine, which is basically that not the same medicines or the same dosage uh, helps every single person. Some people need something differently. And so that sort of very much fits into an odor um, community, or pattern community, where what one person needs, it could be totally different from what another person needs. And so she applied, there it is, she applied for research for urinary biomes. That means that a whole, checking the biome, is, I guess, like metabolites that you find in the urine, to help us identify what each person has. So it would be an individualized research for individualized medicine, which is precision medicine. Also, she's applying for bacterial DNA. By understanding the bacteria's DNA, they would know then what a lot of what could be causing all these biomes. She's also asking for the program, if we are selected, to include virome, to check viruses. We've never even considered those. And then metabolomes, and then also to test the gut, skin, and oral, all the stuff that we're doing right now. So she wants it to be and she would consider, the participants would have to then agree to go on specific food diets, and write food diaries. Well, she presented the whole thing of what she wanted to do. And apparently they found it to be interesting enough, the NIH All of Us group. Oh, and another thing about the All of Us program is that they want to include small groups like us,
Yeah.
I guess what they would consider minority groups, and for it to be diverse, to be all inclusive. That's why it's called All of Us,
Yeah.
which we're up to now. Most of NIH funding always went to cardiovascular disease, cancer, which is great. I mean, I'm not knocking those, but it always goes there, you know. And then us little guys, we're just in the background saying, "Oh, if only we got it," you know. But we've never had even a crying shout of getting it. But
Yeah.
now we're actually up, you know, for consideration. So they met. We put it up, and they want the group. NIH and the All of Us program, they want to see how much support there's going to be because they can just set aside a few $1 million for this and then we don't have patients. So they need to see that we do have patients and not only 219 patients. Just in the MEBO face group, we have 1,025 members. And that's
Believe
in
me,
face.
believe me, I'm well aware how many people we have. I'm well
Right.
aware how many people we have. Oh goodness.
Exactly. And so why was it only, and then in Rare Connect, there's 2,000 some, I don't know, 2,500. And oh, how about those who don't even, who just read the blog and don't join any of the groups? You know, we have thousands and thousands of people around the world
Yep.
that could participate in one way or another. And when we only had 219 votes,
Yep.
how are we going to get this grant? This is what we've been working for. This is what we want.
And
What
just
we need.
yeah, just for anybody who's unfamiliar with what, because again, not everybody's in the Facebook group.
Right.
Just for anybody who's unfamiliar with what Maria is talking about, pretty much. There was pretty much like she said, um, Irene Gabashvili, the scientific director of MEBO, she pretty much made a proposal, right? She made the proposal in order to try and get more research for TMAU and undiagnosed odor conditions, stuff like that. And pretty much she made the proposal, and like I actually made a video on that. And pretty much I just want to let you guys know that the proposal itself and the voting for the All of Us campaign are two different things. So think about it in terms of the Olympics. You're going to vote for, you know, which countries you want to host the Olympics. After you vote for the countries that you want to host the Olympics, you actually, well, okay, think about it like this. You're going to choose countries that would be a good fit for the Olympics, to host the Olympics. Then after you choose the countries, you actually choose a country which you want the Olympics to be in. So there's like pretty much a two-step voting process. You vote for whichever ones you think will have enough, you know, success, stuff like that, and then you vote for the one which you actually want it to be in. So we're pretty much MEBO and everybody else suffering with this. We're pretty much in a stage where we're in the second phase, where we sooner or later, somewhere in late April, early May, probably, we'll be voting for the All of Us initiative, and I'm gonna jump on. Believe me, just like Irene jumped on the Ubiome thing, I'm gonna jump on this. I'm kind of tired of dealing with this. I've been having this for 9 years. I'm kind of tired of it. So definitely, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let you guys know as much as I can, make as many videos. Um, and then try and get in contact with people like Niacins, people like Erica Hubbard, other people who've made videos about this to try and to really try and push for this. And what Maria was talking about lately was the fact that we only had 213 people vote for the proposal, when in reality this proposal was, everybody in the Facebook group saw it. If you're in the Facebook group, pretty much your timeline shows everything. Your timeline shows whatever groups you're in, what the posts in whatever groups you're in, everything you like, everything you favorite, stuff like that. And pretty much there are over 1,000 people in the Facebook group, right? Over 1,000 people in the Facebook group. Even if some of those people don't use Facebook or anymore or anything like that, let's say they're inactive. Out of the 1,000 people, we should have at least out 600 to maybe 800 people still active, still looking at, you know, the MEBO, what's in the MEBO Facebook group. And again, like out of the 600 to 800 people, only at least like 219, 213, something like that.
19.
Only like literally like that's literally one fourth. Let's say 800 people, 290. That's literally one fourth. Only one fourth of people actually cared enough to actually go. Just, you know, because you guys have to understand, like, this isn't, you know, just, oh well, you know, I'm fine. I have a family members that, you know, my family hasn't kicked me out. My family don't think I'm entirely crazy, you know, just stuff like that. People who their lives, I wouldn't say are in jeopardy, but people who they can't feel bothered to vote for it just because they don't want to just be a part of this, just because it's something such as this. You know, I mean, I understand it's embarrassing. I understand it's not the best to talk about, but you guys have to understand, like, you know, you wake up, you're still dealing with this. You go to sleep, you're still dealing with this. Someone divorces you, you're still dealing with this. Your girlfriend leaves you, you're still dealing with this. Your boyfriend leaves you, you're still dealing with this. You get kicked out of the house, you're still dealing with this. So you guys have to understand that, like, you know, I understand a lot of the people who have this. The reason why they don't vote for initiatives, the reason why they don't participate in discussions, participate with each other, stuff like that. They want nothing to do with each other. Is because, oh, it's embarrassing, you know, and they always think to themselves, oh, you know, if they're dating or if they're really social and maybe they've gone this down to a level where it's not as noticeable, and believe me when I tell you, I've dealt with a lot of people with this condition, or a lot of them. I get a lot of emails trying to get them on the podcast and stuff like that. And like they have this notion that, you know, they don't want to deal with this because it's embarrassing. But when in reality, like you're always dealing with this. You've been like I've talked to people who've had this their entire life, and then I try and, you know, connect with them. They want nothing to do with me, and it's just like, you know, I don't know. But again, pretty much the crux of my argument is that we have 1,000 people in the Facebook group. I expect 1,000 people, if not 900 people, if not 800 people, to be voting for all of this proposal. You know, I mean, there shouldn't be a single person that hasn't voted for it. You know, I mean, we have 1,000 people. We should at the very least, have at least 700 votes. We should have had 700 votes for the proposal. So again, that's one of the huge reasons as to why I came back. I was planning on, you know, probably coming back with a podcast during the summer because I'd have more time. But I mean, I kind of don't want to let this slip through our hands. I mean, we have to do something about this now, or else it may just slip through our hands. And we, instead of having this dealt with in the next 5 years, we may have this dealt with in the next 15 years, maybe even in the next 25 years. So again, like I expect, I'm going to be posting, whenever the upvoting goes, I'm going to be posting videos as much as I possibly can. I'm going to ask Erica to post videos as much as she can, just everybody to post videos as much as they can. And, just encourage people to just really, yeah, I mean, you know, excuse my English, but really grab this shit by the balls. I mean, seriously, we really do need to just, we really do need to do something about this because I mean, this is our lives. You wake up with this, so.
If we don't do this now, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
What else is there? There is nothing. There has never been this. This is not something that comes by. I mean, this is, if we even, the fact that we're here is unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's so mind-boggling that we're even here.
Yeah.
And if this doesn't go through, what will? Where will we get the money? And we think about, okay, well, I'm going through this and I've got it a little bit under control. And what about your children? What about your grandchildren? You know, how would you feel if you have a child who is so depressed that wants to die, or unfortunately may even take it to that point? I mean, we can stop it now. We can control it now. We don't have to have children grow up with this. We don't have to have our children, our cousins, or anybody blood related to have to live through this bullying, through this isolation.
Yeah.
So it's don't, you know, we sometimes justify not doing anything because it's for us and whatever, but look a little further. All the people you love, all the people that you will love as the years go by. So yes, it's very, very, believe me, as a parent, it was the most painful thing I have ever done in my entire life, having to see my son 21 years go through something that we couldn't figure out.
Yeah.
And suffering the way he was suffering. That's I would rather go through it. I wouldn't want it because it would hurt less. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I mean, and I definitely agree with you what you said in terms of, like, you know, generations down the line. I mean, what about your kids? What about your kids' kids? I mean, we all know that this is genetic. So again, it really does boggle my mind that we have sufferers who, I mean, they see this stuff in the Facebook group, yet they just go on about their day. It's like I don't understand that at all. And like I understand. Well, I mean, I understand that some people they can say stuff such as, like, you know, oh well, maybe they had a hard day. Oh well, maybe this. Oh well, maybe that. Well, dude, I have hard days every day, and I'm about to graduate in 3 years. I mean, how many people do you know graduated college in 3 years? For God's sakes, I have a bad day almost every other day, and I'm still doing it. So I mean, this whole this whole idea that oh well, I have a bad day and I have a bad this and I have a bad knee and the mailman didn't deliver my package today, so I'm depressed. And I mean, we have to really we really do have to. I mean,
Step up.
yeah, step up. I mean, we really do have to step up. I understand you guys have bad days. I understand you guys are dealing with, loved ones and, dealing with stress that comes with this stuff. But you guys really do have to stop and like smell the roses. I mean, for God's sakes, this is something that could very well, if we don't push for this ourselves, because I mean, you guys can say whatever you want about the medical community coming to save us, but in reality, we have to do something ourselves. So that's really the crux of my
Totally.
message. So
Totally agree. And I think that what might have happened is that they're used to saying, okay, well, there's a TMAU test available, and then we have the Ubiome thing going on, and we have the breath test that was one of the clinical trials, and we have the other urine test in Canada. There was another clinical trial, and all the different things we've done. But this one stands out.
yeah,
This one is not your typical, not even the UK, $500,000 grant. This is millions of dollars. And this is all inclusive, not only TMAU, but we're trying to make it all inclusive. And that's what we're striving for. Let's see what they approve. But I'm sure that if they approve what Irene is asking for, it will be to be very exploratory, to go everywhere. And we'll never see millions of dollars again
yeah,
if this doesn't
yeah,
go through.
yeah,
Because NIH is going to look back and say, okay, you guys applied for this other one. What happened? Do you want it or not?
yeah,
It's really mind-boggling that I guess people are really not noticing, not understanding that, hey, we're talking about millions of dollars. And the best part, as far as I'm concerned, is that the millions of dollars are not going to be handed to me because I don't know what to do with these millions of dollars. This is going to go. They're providing millions of dollars worth, but they're selecting the best hospitals, the best clinics, the best labs, and they're providing Irene with a whole team of researchers to support her. She'll be the principal investigator who's going to tell them what we want. Oh
yeah,
my God, that's luxury. I can't even begin to really comprehend that, but that's what it is.
yeah,
And I think even if it's hard for me to comprehend it, and I've been fighting 10 years to try to get it, I'm sure that a lot of sufferers had no clue that this is really what it is. So
yeah,
that's where your podcast is very, very, very helpful. And all the other videos that people do and writing in Facebook and Rare Connect and Cure Zone, everywhere. And to stress that, hey, this is not just one other typical little thing that we're trying to do. This is it. This is the big guy. This is the
yeah.
big thing.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, I wanted to ask you a few other questions, and I just wanted to say this before we get into the other questions. But yeah, no, I mean, this is really something that, because when you think about stuff that in otherwise wouldn't get otherwise wouldn't get funding, because like the whole part of the All of Us initiative is to fund programs that usually wouldn't get funding. I mean, we're right there. I mean, diabetes already has so much funding. Can All forms of cancer already have so much funding. I mean, if there's anything that doesn't get funding at all that really should, it's this. Because I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you guys why. You guys probably already know why. But yeah, anyway, I just wanted to ask you a few more questions. Some other people had a few other questions, such as like, what supplements you take, what supplements did your son take to lower it, stuff like that. So, would you be up to answering that, or would you just want to,
Sure, sure.
Okay,
Go
all right,
ahead.
all right.
Um,
So, pretty much the first question you can go ahead and answer is probably, yeah, what did you and your son take? And because it was genetic, did you guys see a correlation? Like, if he took something, did it affect you differently? If you took something, did it affect him the same way? Stuff like that.
mhm. We both respond very well to the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Um, Antibiotics was something that they believed, and it's still written in the protocol as something that they recommend. Uh, But we found my son really hates taking anything, and he just did it 1 week or whatever it was, one dose. I don't know if it was 7 days or 10 days, one time at the beginning, and that was it. Because instead, what we worked on were probiotics, charcoal. Charcoal's an emergency thing. Carbon, what do you call it? Activated charcoal, because it is a porous type. It's a treated type of carbon that is very porous, and when it goes into the intestines, it actually like sucks in, it absorbs all these odorous chemicals, and then it's released when you go to the bathroom. So it doesn't get into your bloodstream, especially if you have irritated walls of the digestive tract. It doesn't go into your bloodstream, so it doesn't have to come out in the pores and the breath and all the odor producing stuff. So that helped. However, you got to be careful with activated charcoal, because activated charcoal also absorbs nutrients and vitamins and minerals. So what he and I actually, even I still do, he doesn't do anything. But what I do is I take it only on very special occasions. Like if we're going to have a huge family thing and everybody's having this incredible fish, or foods that have eggs and stuff that I can't have without it triggering odor, I'll have a couple of activated charcoal pills that you can get at Walgreens, but in the laxative area, and that helps. And pretty much, what else did he do? Well, with the breath thing, because he also had breath, really, really strong nasal odor. He did the tongue scraping, but as long as it was coming from the lungs, that did nothing. But after he cleared out the actual perspiration and everything, then he still had the breath issue. So he thinks that it was, something in his tongue or the back, the back of his tongue. Yeah, actually, I should shut off mine.
Oh my goodness.
That's okay. And then he scraped the back of his tongue, but he also found that it helped him to just put lemon drops, but only toward the back of the tongue so that it doesn't hurt his teeth, because it erodes the enamel. And he would do that just when he was going to sleep so that it wouldn't go all over his mouth. He would put it in the back of his tongue and then go to sleep, because that acidic state helped make the environment unpleasant for the odor-producing bacteria that forms back there. But eventually, what he found helped him was the cardiovascular exercise, because there's two aspects of an odor condition. Are we on? Are we live? Because you look like you froze. Well, I don't know if we're still on. It looks like we're on. Okay, I'll keep talking. When you come back, then you can tell me if I need to repeat it. But what the process that we do that helps us control odor is two phases. One is helping. I get a feeling we're down. Are you there? There. Were you hearing me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll repeat that. There is two phases to the whole odor management. And I think the first phase is for everybody, not only TMAU sufferers. Even for, including halitosis sufferers that come from the, inside, not localized odor, and bronchidrosis people as well. Because basically, let's put it this way. For there to be an odor, there has to be a chemical.
Yeah.
The odor is not going to appear out of nowhere. It's, if you don't have the chemical, it's not going to smell. So if you're having an odor, the whole point is to try to determine what chemical it is and why. It even got there to the point that it's coming out in your sweat, your cleansing organs are getting it out. Why is it free, what they call free, like free TMA or free whatever, because why is it in your blood? Why was it not metabolized? That's what it means. Like if they say you have free TMA in your body, that means that TMA was not metabolized the way it's supposed to be, that non-sufferers do. They metabolize it and they don't have it free floating all over the place, hence being stored in the fat or body tissues. So what do we need to do then? Until we find a way to fix the metabolism that's messed up, all we can do is it's going to be there. It's free in our blood, flowing around and stored in the fat. So we have to clean it out. How do you clean it out? Well, some people go and do saunas. They try to sweat it out because the skin is a cleansing organ. It has, through perspiration and oils, it brings things out from inside.
Yeah.
Then the lungs, that's where you have gas exchanges in the alveoli, where there's full of capillaries and you get oxygen in, carbon dioxide out, and all these free odorous chemicals need to go out too. And that's why it comes out in your breath. And that's why you have halitosis. So we have to help that process go fast. How does it go fast? It's making the blood pump fast through all these cleansing organs, the kidneys that, you drink a lot of liquid and the blood flows fast through them, that there are filters. They're going to get rid of all that. That's why we use urine tests to see what the metabolites are that we have, because the kidneys have filtered them out. And that's why Dr. Sekine from Japan, when he's researching PATM, PATM, he's used a kit that he puts in the back of the neck where there's perspiration and oils, and he picks up the metabolites there because it's coming out through the cleansing organs. So the best thing to do is cardiovascular exercise. Why? Because that makes that blood pump real fast through all these cleansing organs. You breathe faster, you perspire more, drink plenty of fluids, you pee a lot, and it comes out of your body. Okay, so let's say you got those out, which is wonderful. But if you go, whatever it is that brought them in to begin with continues the same way, which is your diet, whatever you put into your body, or maybe even exposure. Dr. Sekine from Japan, he's saying that it could be exposure, what he calls sick building syndrome. He's an environmentalist, and he studies old buildings, I guess, or any environment. And he says that some of the chemicals that he found in sufferers has to do, with that kit, are the chemicals that are found in construction or in these old buildings and stuff. So it could be something we're breathing from these old buildings. Why do some people have candida? Sometimes it could be maybe they live in an old building, or they work in an old building, or they pass by an old building. We don't know. These are new things we're starting to discover. And so the point, this is where research is coming in. Research is to discover what are these chemicals so that we can then determine how they got there inside our bodies. Is it sick building, the environment? Is it something we ate? Is it, we don't know. What metabolic pathway is dysfunctional that is causing this particular chemical to be free-flowing in our bodies. So once that is determined, then we can control the second phase, which is to eliminate the source. That's where we're at right now.
All right, nice. All right, let me just ask my last question. Then if someone else has a question, if it's like, a question about like, I don't know, just something relevant to MEBO or something like that, maybe I'll ask it. But pretty much the last question that I have is how can the audience and people who are, watching this, or people who want to be a part of the Facebook group, how can they participate? Obviously, we talked about the All of Us initiative, but other than the All of Us initiative, are there any other ways people can contribute? I haven't said this publicly on the podcast because I've been away for about 4 months now doing college stuff. But me personally, I'm trying to become a bioinformatic. I'm going to school for computer science, but I'm trying to go into bioinformatics just so I can do something in this community. But for anybody else who, if you have some sort of trade or talent or just something like that, try and try and apply yourself. If you're really good with Spanish, I remember Kia, one of the directors at MEBO, she was talking about how we need like I don't know if she said like a translator or she said something about different languages. I don't know exactly what she said, but she definitely said something about ambassadors. That's what she said. Language ambassadors. If you're someone who is very outgoing, even with this, if you're someone who's very outgoing and you're very affluent with languages, stuff like that, definitely if you go into the Facebook group, if you're not already there, definitely let Akia know and tell her that you're interested in that kind of stuff. But yeah, Maria, how can people be more? How can people participate a lot more and stuff like that? Is the
Mhm.
question that I'm asking to you.
Okay. That's a great question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Akia is one of our directors. I'm going to be announcing that we also now have Medmed Ali. He's now one of our new directors. And we have just people who don't necessarily have a directorship, but they want to be involved, like you with your podcast. You are sources that talent could tap into. Um, each one of us has something to offer. No one is insignificant. No one can say, "Oh, I have nothing to offer," but you do. Look at Chris and Rosalia. She's our new mental health director, and although there's a little fine line there with the legalities and whatever, she found a way to be able to help us by giving us um, guidelines on how we can help ourselves and each other. So
Yeah.
every single person in a support group can study the crisis handout that she gave us, where it shows what are the steps to take when somebody is saying goodbye because they're going to take their lives. Or somebody says, I can't take this anymore. I just can't stand one more second of it. How to help them. I know that as soon as anybody comes on the groups and say, I can't take this anymore, or start saying their goodbyes, everybody jumps in. Well, let's arm ourselves a little with what she's giving us. Let's feed off each other. She's giving us guidelines on how we can help that individual. If you feel that is your calling, or what you feel you can contribute to help another human being, arm yourselves with the best way to do it. I'll post again that, and I'll give it to you so you can post it in your podcast too.
Yeah.
That paper that she gave us on crisis intervention. Then there are those who, like you're saying, what did you call it?
Ambassadors.
No, what you're studying, uh,
Oh, computer science. Yeah.
computer science. Well, that's what
Yeah.
Irene does. That's her PhD is in that.
Excellent.
Bio something or
Yeah,
other.
biotech or bioinformatics stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Like for example, Chris and Rosalia, she's a sufferer, and she didn't know how she could, what could she do, how could she help. She studied and got her master's degree in psychology. She's a mental health therapist, and now she's helping us. Then you have you with your technology. What are the other things? Me with just learning how. I find that what I can do best is try to bring people together
Yeah.
and tell them, do your thing, be creative.
Yeah, delegate. Yeah.
you know just be creative. Look inward and see what you have inside that you think you can do.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be big. It could, whatever it is, contact somebody else. If you're really not a shy person, I'm a very shy person, but if you're not a shy person and you feel absolutely fine writing to, some people do that. They spend their day after day scouting and looking through NIH, who are the different scientists, and write to them and say, oh, this is who we are. This is what we need.
Yeah.
I'm interested in what you're doing, and start a rapport with these people. That's something I could never do, but
Yeah.
somebody else does. So we work together at it. Once they get them, he says, hey, this person's responded. 90% of them didn't, but this one did. So let's do a conference call with them. So we get a few directors together. We do a conference call. What program can we do? Oh, that's how we got Dr. Hazen. Oh, let's do a urine test. Oh, okay, let's do a urine test. And so I didn't do it by myself. He didn't do it by himself scouting, but we got together. And then we got the other director who's really good at contracts and everything else because his specialty is business. And so he knows how to draw contracts and whatever. And we drew a contract with Dr. Hazen. And then we had Irene, who's observing or what do you call it, overlooking this whole program with her science background. And then we have meetups, people that can do meetups. And in meetups, you see so many. That's where all the people's talents comes out, because you see everybody, their personality. That person's really good at that. That person's really good at that, and it brings the whole community together. It's not me just. Yeah, I bring the presentation that I want to do, but most of it was led by group discussion, which is what I wanted to do, because I didn't want to sit there and preach for 5 hours. Oh my God. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
So it was more like, okay, we touched I wanted to say something that would trigger everybody's response. Okay, now let the group lead.
Yeah.
And so, because everybody's got talents. So just reach out to each other, to other members, join the different groups, see who's in need, see who are the directors, what program, each director. I don't tell any director what they need to do. I do not say, this is your job description. I ask them, what do you want to do? It's all volunteer. How could I dictate?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? What do you feel strong? Now let's see what Mehmet, he's from the PATM, the patent group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he's here.
Oh, no,
Okay.
he's not here now.
Oh, okay. He's I want to see what he's going to do, because I don't know what he's going to do. He's studying IT as well, the technical stuff. So he's just going to take a whole blog and do a whole blog, and we're going to stick it together to the MEBO blog and just do hotspots and bring it together. And he's going to come up with all kinds of ideas. I told you, let me know what your ideas are once you get them down, and they make sense to you, and we'll talk about them, because I don't want to dictate.
Yeah.
I want things to come from inside. What do you want to do?
Yeah, no, I feel as though we definitely could actually do something like, as a group together, because from what I see, everybody's so spread out. And whether that's by, them dealing with this for so long and being very antisocial, or whether that's them not knowing about this, well, we have to figure that out, But still, I mean, like I said, back when I was doing this by myself, I didn't know what the Facebook group was. I didn't even know. I knew what MEBO was, but I didn't know about it all too much. Literally, like I wasn't getting nearly as much views. I think I was getting like I said earlier, 9 views, 9 people watching at a time. But now it's like it can be anywhere from 15 to 45 to whatever.
Oh.
So and obviously over time, I remember our biggest podcast was 2,000 people, something like that, some 2,000 viewers over time. So again, obviously, just trying to put the message out there as much as we can.
Thank
And
you so much. Yes.
yeah, no, because I mean, it like I said, it is kind of ridiculous how this has been just lingering on for so long and no one's kind of doing anything. So we definitely have to come together as a group and definitely do something like this.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing. Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
MEBO conforms to everybody's personality. We have some people who do more work than I do, who nobody knows exists. But if you want to stay private and do the work on your own, at your own pace, in total privacy, that nobody even knows your name, that's fine. As long as the work gets done. How could I say, no, don't do it then because you don't want to, you don't want to talk in public? No. Those who want to talk in public, please talk in public. But don't say, oh, no, I just want to be, I can't come forward. Yes, you can. You just come forward to me and we'll work together. And I promise you, nobody's going to know you exist.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely, because there's a lot of people who, they're there, but they don't say anything, but they still participate. Because sometimes they'll email me on the side saying oh, hey, I really like what you did about the podcast, or, oh, hey, this, that. So, I mean, I know that they're there, they're participating. They're just not in the group. They're just not, saying stuff in the group, which that's fine. I mean, we're going to need all the help we can get at the end of the day.
And some people are silent for years and then all of a sudden they come out.
Yeah.
That's fine. Whatever. No, you have to walk a mile in someone's shoes to truly understand them. And so I accept that. completely.
All right, so pretty much, yeah, those are all the questions I had for you today. One person in the comment section asked, asked like what kind of dietary restrictions you did. But yeah, it's pretty much, yeah, and then another person asked what probiotics you take. But that's pretty much the only other questions that I see that me and the other viewers have for you today.
Yeah. Because I know I have TMAU, I cannot have egg yolk. And
Yeah,
if I do, I know that I cannot be social for a few days.
yeah,
And then my poor husband's
same.
gonna
Yep,
deal with it.
yep, same.
Yeah, really. And
Mhm.
then I cannot have what else? I love fish. You have to understand, I live in Miami. We had a boat every weekend. We would go fishing. The whole
Yeah,
family was a family affair. And then we would eat all year long the fish and the lobsters that we caught. And that's why it kept getting worse and worse because we didn't know. But that is my favorite food. And so the only way I can have fish like once a month,
yeah,
because I don't do that much cardiovascular, my son can have pretty much all he wants because he runs miles every day. Um, but as long as he does that, he can have more. But if I eat fish, it has to either be tilapia, which is not my favorite, or I have it ceviche style, which is cooked by with the acid of lemon. And if I have a lot of that, it'll still let me know that I had it.
yeah.
Um, but I try not to. Maybe I'll have it once a month. And worst case scenario, twice a month. I do take resveratrol when I'm going to do that, and charcoal.
Oh yeah, it's very charcoal. Yeah,
So I play with that. I love my black beans and rice. I grew up with black beans and rice. It feels like family, home, mom cooking, that kind of thing. So it is an emotional food for me, but it will trigger odor. So I only have it every once in a while. And sometimes, even though I would love to have all the beans, but I just have a little bit of the bean and a lot more of the soup of it. But not too often because it will affect me. Red meat, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. Not too much. I try to
yeah,
avoid it. Always, if I'm going to buy chicken or meat or anything, it has to be organic. I do not want those antibiotics that they feed those,
oh yeah, no, no, you don't want that in your, no,
or the
no,
hormones. Come on. We know
no.
that hormones trigger, when does it get worse? When you have a hormonal change, when
Yeah,
puberty,
yeah,
um,
13 was when I got it. Yeah,
menopause, pregnancy. So why in the world am I going to eat something that has hormones?
no,
you know,
I'm not.
so so those things are a definite no-no for everybody.
Yeah,
Everybody. We don't need it. Not only TMAUers. Some people can have nuts a lot and be fine. I can only have a few.
same. Yeah,
Yeah, I love nuts. When we go on driving trips, road trips,
yeah, yeah.
and we
Dry
go
food.
by Georgia and they have those pecans, and it's like, I want those
Yeah,
pecans. So I've tested and tried that I can have a few, you know, but not a few now and then a few later and then a few later and then tomorrow I have another few as we're driving down the road. Have some. No.
yeah, yeah. No, I see what you're saying. I recently I had the flu and pretty much like it is at hospitals. You go in for the flu. Next thing you know, you come out with a mutated arm. It's like, I went in for the flu, and yet they told me, oh, well, you have this deficiency, this deficiency, this deficiency.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, oh, great. Now I have to change up my diet. I had to,
Yeah.
before I was eating most like, just fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds a little bit, not too much. But then they were like, oh, well, you have so many deficiencies that you have to change up your diet. So, I try and do things in moderation. You know, before it was mostly just like a lot of acidic stuff and very little cardio because like when I was having so much acid, pretty much what I've noticed is that when I cough, like you know how phlegm is like you have the mucus and stuff in the back of your throat. When
Hmm.
you cough up the mucus and stuff like that, I don't know where I saw it somewhere on Rare Connect, but someone on Rare Connect said the more you cough up mucus, the more you cough up phlegm, the better the condition gets. And at first, I wasn't sure if he was just if that was just him personally or if that was just across the board. I started doing it, and I noticed a huge difference. Like I would have I would mix together like lemonade, lemons from organic lemon stuff like that. Lemonade with water with cayenne pepper, and then I would just like do a light workout, like 30 minutes, just run. And like I noticed a huge difference when I would cough up the phlegm because like cayenne pepper has something called capsicum. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced.
Hmm.
Capsicum is a nutrient. It's pretty much what makes the pepper hot. And believe me when I tell you, if you have a lot of it, it can clear your sinuses in terms of like your phlegm and stuff like that. And it can really get rid of a lot of the mucus, and that really helped me out a lot. But yeah, I mean, I know the whole trial and error for the person that asked that. I know the whole trial and error thing is kind of tedious, kind of tough. Um, but I would encourage you to start, trying to do the whole workout stuff, cardiovascular stuff, um, and see what works for you, what doesn't, stuff like that. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much what I would encourage that person to do. So, but yeah, no, Maria, definitely thank you for coming on. I know we
Oh,
started a little
thank
bit late. I
you.
had a yeah, no, I had a few technical difficulty issues, but I got it all set. And yeah, like I said, thanks for coming on. Whenever you want to come on, just let me know. We'll try and whip something up real quick. Summer's coming up, so definitely I'll be able to have more time to podcast. Even though the walls are, because like right now I'm obviously in high school. I'm obviously in college. But when I go back, I'll be going back to my parents' house. So either I'm gonna have to try and find around me. I know there's like places where I can podcast where I won't be disturbed. Because my parents would not like me doing this podcast. But then again, I'm 20 years old. I know what I'm doing. I've
Right.
had this. Yeah, no, I've had this for 8 years. I mean, I'm not just gonna sit by just sit by the roadside. It's just
Good for
there's just
you.
no more point. There's no point just sitting by the roadside. But yeah, like I said, whenever you want me to, organize something or whatever you want me to talk about something, um, campaign for something, anything like that, just let me know.
Thank you.
I'll let Erica know.
Yes.
I'll let all the YouTubers know. I'll let them all know. And
Right.
for people watching this, definitely leave a like on this. Leave a like on this video. When you leave a like on a YouTube video, pretty much what happens is the YouTube video gets pushed to the top. Think about it like a stack. Whenever you like something, it goes to the top of the stack even more, even more. So the more you like and share a video, it goes to the top of the stack. And like I said, with this All of Us campaign that's coming out, I want each and every single person who types in on YouTube, on Google, or on Bing, whenever they type up TMAU, pretty much I want this video to come up first. I know that sounds a little selfish, but
No,
like I
no,
said,
no.
this,
Need it.
yeah, no, I mean, like I said, yeah, we really do need it. I mean, this All of
Yeah.
Us campaign is something that we really do need. So again, if you could like this video, Erica Hubbard, if you could like this video, Nia Sims, if you could like this video, because the more subscribers you have, it just makes it that much easier to get to the top. If someone with a lot of subscribers likes a video, the video gets pushed even more and more to the top. So again,
Okay.
Erica Hubbard, Nia Sims, Whitney, Dave, all you guys, just like this video. People who don't have subscribers, like this video. This video get pushed to the top, and when it gets put to the top, everybody will see it, and everybody will be happy.
Yeah, we're raising
That's all I
awareness.
can say.
Excellent. Can't go wrong. In fact, when we get to comment and the All or Us, when it goes up to for the upload again,
Yeah,
you could link or somehow bring in the video
yeah,
so that they go and look at it and see that, hey, we're getting all these likes and this
yeah,
is what we're about and we are the people. And so, yeah, that's great. Well, thank
yeah.
you so much. This is so wonderful. It's really impressive what you're doing. It's
Thanks.
really invaluable. It's something we really need. And I thank you and all the YouTubers as well. Because I don't know if you know, I'm sure you know that we always post a couple of YouTube
Yeah,
every week. We change them and move them around so that everybody gets a chance to say their piece and to raise awareness. So, and it brings the group together listening to all this. And
yeah.
so
We
we
do
try to
really need
promote
it.
everything you're doing. So thank you so much.
Yeah, definitely. But like I said, just hit me up every time you
I
guys
will.
need something done. All right.
I will.
Thanks, Maria.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Bye bye.
see you.
See ya.